Everyone will be starting momentarily. Okay, post there. Post this now. That's all saved. Everything's being picked up, I think. Connection seems good, so we're good to go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another stream of Apollo Justice Trilogy. We had left off last week with this, and we had managed to start the fourth case. I don't know if it's the fourth and final case or if there's an extra one, but we're starting the fourth case. So far, what we found out is that there is a semi-mute artist. She's not really a mute, it's just that she just doesn't talk much. She's shy and introverted is too light a word. Introverts can still talk to people. She's just like completely silent because she's just never been outside, apparently, which seems very odd for a parent to do that to a child, but whatever. Anyway, we found out there may be more going on with this case than first thought, because the guy was poisoned and left a lip stain that was blue, which to me means that the person was either wearing lipstick or something else. But anyway, there's that, and some weird things going on with Trucy and her uncle and this letter that we've got that we haven't opened yet. Other than that, we are about to begin the trial, so we're going to probably see if we can find out anything more from this. But yeah, welcome. Hope everyone had a nice weekend. Mine was all right. I'm always going to say I'm tired, so you know, it is what it is. But I'm energetic tired, if that makes sense. Like, I'm tired, but I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Woo! Whether that means I'm going to do good voices or not, I don't know. Guess we'll find out. But without further ado, let us begin today. What? That was not proper English, but yeah, let's begin. Game screen. Soon we shall be up to the Dual Destinies, which is my preferred game of this trilogy. Let's go do it. Sure that it's showing up. Yes. Need to refresh this. Yes. All right. Continue. Oh yeah. Trial day 1. Trial day 1. Why does it say this twice? Yes. Right. Make sure that sound is being picked up. Yes. All right, I got to remember everyone's voices again. October 8th, 9:48 p.m. District Court Defendant number 6. Number 6? I think that's the highest we've gotten. It's only ever been 1 to 3. Good morning. So, you're Vera, right? I'm Trucy. Trucy Wright. That right with a W. But, not right. Right? We're on your side. You can tell us anything. Please? I have to remember what voice I did for her. I think it was just like kind of quiet, kind of soft-spoken, and introverted, I guess would be the best word. Good morning. She speaks. Not bad, not bad. But I think you do better with a little smile, don't you know? You're so pretty. You need to sell yourself, you know? That sounds weird. You might want to change that, Trucy. A bit early for telling people to sell themselves. Trucy, let's take it easy for starters. Does she have a tongue out when she's drawing? Thank you for taking my case. Just need a little smiley face. Okay, well, that's a start, I guess. There she goes with the nail polish again. That's great, really. It's so cultured. Yes, she does. She has a little tongue out. I never noticed that. Want to try? Ooh, really? Girls. Apollo. Why don't you put some nail polish on, Apollo? Like, Trucy wears gloves, so she doesn't really need it. But you've got your hands out, all out for all to see. Make it look pretty. The victim Drew Mission was a forger, and a stolen painting was found in his studio. A life of crime, really. And maybe one that led to his death. Death. October 8, 10 a.m. Courtroom number 3. Well, we now, begin the, trial of, the Vera Mission. Is that okay? His voice is all raspy and he's looking around all nervous-like. Repercussions of today's trial will most likely be felt for a long time, and may indeed alter our legal system forever. Today is a test of the juris system, and the first step towards a new order in the courts. Daddy's secret mission. The jurists will function like a jury. Let's hope that their inclusion will help the courts to better reflect the people's will. Why aren't there any jurists in the courtroom? Closed-circuit cameras watch the courtroom at all times. The jurors will have access to everything that transpires. Sounds like a stupid idea, because what if something happens to the camera system or the electronics, then they won't be there for it. Jurists, judge well and judge cool. Now see here, Prosecutor Gavin. I was going to say that. My apologies, Herr Judge. Jurists, today, judge today's trial coolly, if you would be so kind. Jurists are unbound by the letter of the law. They don't affect the trial with evidence, but their feelings. We're about to find out just what effect they're going to have. Very well, Prosecutor Gavin. The details of the case, if you would. The victim is the painter, Drew Mission, who was killed in his own studio. His coffee was poisoned. By whom, you ask? But none other than the defendant, Vera Mission.
Objection!
There wasn't any poison in the coffee. Acton, someone has been doing their homework. Indeed, poison was not present in the coffee, but on the mug itself. The mug? A residue. Ah, residue was found on the rim, I see. The autopsy report describes the manner of our victim's death. Court accepts this as evidence. Death by atroquinine poisoning, estimated time of death 9 to 9:30 p.m. According to this report, which I shall now read. Time of death, October 6th, 9 to 9:30, atroquinine poisoning, 52 male. The victim's death was caused by atroquinine poisoning, a chemical compound that does not occur naturally. Lethal dosage is a mere 0.002 milligrams. A touch of atroquinine in the body is a touch of the Reaper's scythe. Very well, Prosecutor Gavin, you may present your witness. I have you today a simple man for a simple case. A man who witnessed the murder in its entirety. That journalist, no doubt. The witness will state his name and occupation. I gotta remember saying. I need to remember how I did his voice. I only did it the one time and I would have forgotten. Because I remember it was nerdy. Right. Well, for starters, my name is Sprout Brushel. My job is a lone observer in the world. Hey, Sean. Welcome. In other words, a freelance journalist, right? If you don't mind, I'd like to state something here for the record. Yes, Mr. Brushel? I dislike conclusions, specifically the aspect of jumping to conclusions. Preconceptions make Park Sandbox of endless desert waste. End quote. But you are a journalist. You said so yourself yesterday. Well, that's true, yes. But you must understand, I stopped before you today as a man of the dream. I'm offering you my testimony in exchange for exclusive rights to the story. Scoop turns Mr. Brushel into that Mr. Brushel. End quote. Let's hear your testimony then, shall we? Simple case, eh, Gavin? For me, the jury is still out. Witness testimony. I visited the studio around 9 that night to do the interview. First outside at the end of the 8th journalistic history made, end quote. His daughter bought us coffee right after we started. And you know what happened next? Star falls, end quote. No one else entered the room besides her the whole time. That does sound like a simple case. Unless you were the one who poisoned him. What are you saying, Judge? Need I remind you the cameras are rolling today? I felt the need to be a bit dramatic. Get this guy out of here. You didn't do it, did you? Me do nothing like that. Or me do a thing like that. Whatever. Come on, that's like newsmaker making the news, end quote. Or even contemporary witch hunt, end quote. I know, wild accusations rock courtroom. End quote. Rock indeed. What's a good Gavin? Sure looks like he's having fun. I'm so happy for him. Very well, Mr. Justice, your cross-examination, please.
Hold it!
9 p.m. at night. Isn't that a little late for an interview? I'd like to think Mr. Mission was British and he died because of coffee being his kryptonite. Maybe. Is this coffee? Ugh! If the great painter Drew Misham says come at 9, believe you me, I go at 9. First, and as it turned out, last interview was such a prolific painter. Right. Can you tell us what it was like when you arrived? You were the first reporter ever in Drew's studio? Posterity look back on that night as a turning point in journalistic history. A basically insignificant step for all mankind, but a giant step for that Brushel guy, end quote. If no one on the outside had access to the studio, then it would serve to the reason that the deed was done by an insider. By which he means Vera did it. So, how did the epoch-making interview go? Would you mind being a little more specific? Ooh-wee, let me tell you, enjoy a cuppa. In fact, it all began when I was in the 3rd grade. No, wait, 4th grade. That's not what I meant. I believe you know what forehead is driving at. This coffee the victim was served? Did anyone other than the defendant touch it? Right, that. That's what I was going to say, really. Well, now, I got a question to ask you. You best to straight up ask it. That's what I tell all the recruits, or the new recruits, several times if necessary. Right for a grade schooler. That's my motto. Which isn't to say I can only write grade school level stuff, mind you. Who touched the coffee? I know. I was in the back looking at the studio's equipment when she served it. And what happened next? God, I hate this guy already.
Hold it!
What's this about a star falling? Star falls? Huh, it's like an old telegram. Send money over. Zowie, you don't know? That's like a journalism code word. An important personage passes away, a star falls. Get it? But there's no gravity in space, is there? I wouldn't think stars could fall, really. Does this matter? Oh boy, this stuff is good stuff. Good stuff. How about star breaks? Nah, next punch. I know, star dies. Nah, lacks imagination. Oh, God. I have to change this voice. It's doing something to my throat. Of course. That's too weird. Of course. You could go with Drew dies. Straight to the point. I like it. I think we need a little bit more, something a little more substantial. The Stars coffee. You say Mr. Misham had the coffee too? But did you actually see him drink the coffee? Of course. He who sees it wins, but he who says it wins bigger. Wait, what? He who says it wins, but he who says it wins bigger. Oh, okay. End quote. I live in a man see dog eat. Man sees dog eat dog and writes about it world. Yet. I guess I can't say I saw him drink it, really. He had one so-called sip, if that. And puts lips to mug, drinks, end quote. That poison is quite virulent, I hear. My stomach did a so-called somersault. Since I gulped down the coffee without so much a second glance at it. Wait, maybe something's there. Some kind of so-called trick. Anyone want to venture a guess? For the record? Does this guy have a pause button? Well, Mr. Justice, did you find that testimony valuable? No. The coffee Mr. Misham drank. That has to be important somehow. Nah. Very well, please continue with the testimony.
Hold it!
You really must have hated that coffee. Understandable, though. You say that for sure? Sure, I'm sure. Drew Studio isn't a big place, kiddo. I'd know if something else had come up. What if they'd been hiding there from before?
Objection!
Even if something had been hiding in the studio, they hardly could have poisoned that mug without anyone noticing. You think I, Spark Brushel, could miss something so obvious as that? No way. He sure makes it sound exciting. I guess that's his job. There's only one moment we need to focus on, really. The moment when Drew Misham died? Exactly. There has to be something there. Oh, it's this
Hold it!
Skip. So, you drank the coffee that Vera served you too? Of course. When someone serves you coffee, you drink it. That's what my old boss always used to say. Never did get what he meant by it, though. But you're still alive, which is to say you didn't die. Of course not. No point falling before you're a start, end quote. That's not exactly what I was getting at. What were you getting at, then? You know that the poison was on the rim, not in the coffee. Oh, yes. There were 2 cups in the tray she bought. And one of the cups had Drew's signature painted on the side. No chance the guest would take that one by mistake, I guess. There's the M, but then it just goes into M. It's not really a signature. And if it was a signature, wouldn't it be on all his paintings? Like, none of these have a signature on it. Is testimony important? Not really. So Brushel drank the coffee too. Doesn't look like this is going to lead to much. Very well. Please continue with the testimony. The fact I have to do this multiple times just to get to this one point is just kind of annoying. Just bring me straight to the questions. Moment of death. About when Mr. Mission passed away. Oh boy, what a scene that was. Puts his coffee mug down with a crash, right? Yes, and then? Then the cold finger of death touches his spine. Life's flame sputters and fails. So cold was that touch he could not do naught but tremble uncontrollably. Actually, life's flame is a little tired. Life's river froze over. Yes, that's it. That's a go. I think he's already signed to think his article already. Could you describe that a little more simply? Well, as you can imagine, I'm pretty much surprised. He hit the floor, as they say. Artist seizure his final performance. End quote. Esquinine paralyzes the central nervous system. Body arches back like a bow, the limbs tremble, the throat burns. But that's quite enough of that. Some of us want to be able to sleep tonight. Oh yeah? Well, I want details, lots of juicy details. For that, you can listen to our last year's hit single, Esquinine, My Love, by Gaviniers. Available at all major music outlets. The point here is that the victim died of actual quinine poisoning. Oh, Mr. Justice, how did you find that testimony? Not important. You think the moment of Mr. Death would be important? But Mr. Brushell's story really didn't tell us anything we didn't already know. Well, going by that logic, the only one that did seem to have anything was the last statement. Seeing how he was like, this must be important, and then just went, nah. Blah, 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 blah. The victim drank his coffee, then immediately fell over. Oh, yes, yes! You can go to press with that one. Your Honor, this is a vital piece of information. Please add it to the testimony. Very well, the witness will add this to the testimony. Vital, right. Because this would not be possible with the atropine, because it takes a minute to like actually start up, if I remember correctly. But I don't know how to show that. See that there? That's the poison. Yeah. Don't lick it, Apollo. Don't worry, I'll be fine. No, you won't. You'll die. Look, I know. I mean, I won't lick it. Who knows what you do when I'm not watching? Concern is touching, really. Next thing you know, she'll be telling me not to drink coffee before bedtime. I haven't looked on the bottom of this. Like, turn it upside down. Oh, man. It's gone all over me. Wouldn't there be traces of it inside the cup and not only on the rim of the cup? Technically, yes, because when you drink from a cup of coffee, you would be putting it on your lips and on the rim of the mug as well, so it would technically pull some of that residue into it. But I can see it not 100% doing that. Damn it, there's no thing here, so I probably need to press first. So he either took a sip or he didn't and then fell over. Oh yes, indubitably. Just like that. Wham bam. So Mr. Mission drank the coffee and fell over immediately. I think Brush is telling the truth too. Should I get him to talk about something else? I can actually choose to talk about something else? Okay. I'm pretty sure it's this one, because I know, because we were literally told that atropine does not happen immediately. It takes time. Like, what was it, 15 minutes? So he couldn't have just gone, sip, oh! It doesn't work like that. Unless I'm misremembering it. We already checked with the moment of death. It didn't really tell us much other than he died. Brussels coffee didn't tell us anything either. Sip. Dog eats dog rights. Not a word. There's no real need to change the testimony. The problem with the testimony is already pretty obvious. It says slow acting here.
Objection!
Okay, that is the one. It was just that very specific word because it said slow acting. Yeah. You know what I have a problem with? A particular property of the poison used, atropine. Oh, Prosecutor Gavin was quite clear about the poison. A lethal dosage of 0.002 milligrams paralyzes the central nervous system. If you drink that, even you, Mr. Justice, will be reduced to a quivering pile. Why are you using me as an example? Unfortunately, we weren't told everything. There was a vital omission in Prosecutor Gavin's information. An omission? Ashkenine is as virulent as he says, but the death doesn't come upon ingestion, not immediately. That's because Ashkenine is slow acting. Slow acting? What? According to one forensic scientist, it's one most virulent poisons, but it's absorbed slowly into the body, astonishing slowly. It takes at least 15 minutes from the time of ingestion for adverse effects to show. Like I said, I remembered. It's been a week, but I remember. If we suppose that the moment of Mr. Misham's sip the coffee was when he sealed his fate, then he would still have had time to enjoy his last cup of joe. Oh, this guy's posture, he's so thin. Order. What's the meaning of this? If the defense says is correct, why that contradicts the entire testimony we just heard. Well, Mr. Brushel, anything to say on the record? Slow acting. Slow act. It was virulent, all right. Even then, it had already begun digging its claws into the journalist. He's working on his scoop.
Objection!
It's Brushel, yeah? Hey, Brushel, let's take a trip back down memory lane. Huh? Did the victim really die the instant he took a sip? Think it over. This is vital. You know what I think? I think that was a not-so-subliminal suggestion. End quote. I admit, it does cause a problem if he died when you said he died. I would be forced to say Auf Wiedersehen to my simple case. And you would be forced to say farewell to your article. Come again? You can't write a story based on conjecture, can you? And as the case drags on, other reporters will pick up the scent. Why are you doing this, Javier? Like, what? And you'll be forced to kiss your exclusive scoop goodbye. Scoop. Look, wait a second. Just 1 second. We're waiting. Out with it. I think I just recorded a so-called important detail. A revival of recollection, end quote. A story survival, end quote. Attorney utterly confused, end quote. Actually, I did notice something when I visited the studio. I heard of poison that takes its sweet time, see? But not what we've been saying for the last few minutes, apparently. Mr. Brushel, are you saying you noticed something that explains what happened? You bet I am. An antidote for a poisonous contradiction. End quote, you might say. Or I still have no idea what you're talking about, end quote, I might say. I figured it out, but only after an in-depth interview. See, thanks to my journalism skills, I know who poisoned that coffee. Order, order, order. As far as I can tell, the witness is standing by his testimony. That Mr. Misham died during the instant he drank the coffee. Of course I'm standing by my testimony. And my dream of exclusive rights to this story. I suppose I was too much to help for. What was? Of course you wouldn't choose a simple case, not him. Him? Phoenix Wright, who else? Ach, turn, Herr Brushel. Report to us if you would. What it was that you noticed. This court is a critical trial of the juris system. I'm afraid no room for doubt is permissible. You mean like every other case? You'll testify to the court about what you had noticed. I just realized that he has the hair. I guess they're trying to go for a fight like he's a toothbrush, which is why he's called Brushel. He's also got, you know, a toothbrush, but at the same time, I don't like him. When I arrived at the studio, Mr. Mission was at his desk. He seemed to be writing a letter, but he quickly sealed the envelope. He thought nothing of it at the time, of course. Now, think about it. What if he was writing a suicide note? A suicide note. Yes, he had this look on his face. Man's face inscrutable as a quadratic equation. End quote. Suicide? I'm still in the other guy's voice. Suicide? Poor Mr. Misham. That means Vera's innocent. Would someone commit suicide in the middle of an interview? Oh. Very well, you may begin your cross-examination. You'd be surprised, Apollo. A lot of people would. Was there anyone at the studio other than Mr. Misham? Well, his daughter, Vera, of course. Was anyone besides Mr. Misham and Vera present? Not a single one. Not a cat, not a rat, not even a mouse. The only person who didn't belong into that studio there was you, wasn't it, Mr. Brushel? I know what you're trying to do. I know your game. Attorney uses classic Ramsden phenomenon ploy. End quote. You intend to suggest that the reporter is a suspect. I'm sure you also intend to present evidence supporting that assertion, correct? In the meantime, let's move along, shall we?
Hold it!
So he put the letter away when he saw you? And the reporter gets the web. End quote. That's my secret. I'm not sure I follow. It's the night of the interview. I arrived 15 minutes ahead of schedule. The handle turns, the door opens, and I barge in. Are you sure that's okay to do? I mean, isn't that unlawful entry, really? Mr. Bishop sure seemed to think so. You should have seen him. He crammed this letter into that yellow envelope as fast as he could. I know a secret when I spot one. That was one. It does seem as significant. Well, Mr. Justice, I wonder. It does have that ring of something important. The defense finds the testimony vital, Your Honor. Very well, please add it to your testimony then. Hey, why not? My account comes free of charge. It was a yellow envelope. I heard it was left at the scene of the crime. This is not yellow, this is red. I'll press just to be safe.
Hold it!
And you saw him seal this yellow envelope with the letter? Hey, don't look at me like that. I saw what I saw. Apollo, you think this might be... Oh, big break, yeah. What I need to do is show some decisive evidence now.
Objection!
As it just so happens, there was a single letter in a desk drawer at the scene. In a red envelope. What? Oh, God. Prosecutor Gavin. Yes? Was a yellow envelope found at the scene of the crime? Unfortunately, no. But head for head. It's easy to mistake that color of an envelope. No. It's not. I guess. But not this envelope. You see, it was a postmarked already 7 years ago. Well, Mr. Brushell? I can explain that. Drew, right? He wanted to get that letter in an envelope, pronto. Get it out of sight of my beady eyes, right? So he grabbed the nearest envelope and crammed away. And what about the whole red and yellow envelope contradiction, chump? Well, Mr. Justice, have you have anything to say to the witness's claim? That night, the victim put a letter he had been writing in a red envelope. It's impossible. That's impossible. Ah, I like your expression. So full of confidence. It's simple, really. As it just so happens, the defense team investigated the contents of this envelope with the assistance of a forensic scientist. What? Note that this letter is addressed to Drew Mission. Oh. Why would he address a letter to himself? Let alone send a suicide note to himself. I've been scooped! Order, order, order. Mr. Brushell, can you explain this to the court? Oh, my. How could I have forgotten? I suppose this happens to the best of us. Reporter gets old, forgets lots, end quote. I'm still waiting for an explanation, Mr. Brushell. Oh, that's the thing, see? After he puts his letter in that envelope, Mr. Bishop sat there searching his desk drawer for something. His desk drawer? Yes, a stamp. A so-called postage stamp, end quote. A stamp? Whatever for? Well, to mail his letter. What else? And then, why, yes, I think I saw him put it in his letterbox. Yes, it was a yellow envelope, and he put it in that box. Well, apparently this yellow printed letter has nothing... Oh, I wish it did. Just think if there were a suicide note. What a story. Stahl writes suicide note in front of reporter falls. End quote. As I was saying, that has nothing to do with this case. That said... Yes, Your Honor? It makes me wonder about the contents of that red envelope. And the whole thing about getting money and stamps and stuff. $100,000 is quite a good deal of money. I mean, in the year that this is doing, I guess it still is, but, you know, there's more money out there. Looks like a big, or at least average from the front sprite, and yet his back sprite makes him look really frail and thin. Yeah. It's the camera, it adds on like 30 pounds or something. So this is from 7 years ago, yeah? So, am I finished here? I mean, am I finished here? I was thinking of, you know, going home to start writing. What? I hate to state what should be pretty obvious to anyone, but when you catch the scent of a story, you make that, rather unique face. Come on! Attorney has active imagination, little else! End quote. Even I noticed something, and my eyes aren't what they used to be. You know, I'm starting to understand what all this perceiving stuff is about. Juz has an active imagination, end quote. Please continue with your testimony. Tell us about the secret of a story. Hey, I'm the one asking the questions here, usually. Put your tongue away. Actually, it took a bit of work to get a thumbs up on the interview. Porter leverages story gets his interview, end quote. Story concerned a certain case from 7 years ago. The red envelope probably had something to do with it. Says what you will, but Drew's talent was without compare. So you threatened to go to the press with this story? That's how you got your interview? Blackmail? Well, yes. I mean, no. It wasn't exactly black. I mean, I'm not... Something wrong, Mr. Brushell? Look, this is my story, my tidbit. Journalist info is livelihood, end quote. I see, so that makes it perfectly legal for you to be blackmailing people. Well, you have my chatting away in there. What's going on out there? What if some Wordsworth or Sally Scooper gets wind of my story? They could be going to the press while I'm going to waste. Court feels your pain, Mr. Brushell. Mr. Justice, let's pick up the pace. Certain case 7 years ago. Wait, 7 years ago? Hi, Trucy. Oh! It's time to perceive him!
Hold it!
The victim, Drew Misham, had an aversion to reporters. Boy, I guess. Not even my considerable charms did much for him. Until I finally got my thumbs up, that is. Maybe you can elaborate on that bit for us. I don't like that smile.
Hold it!
What exactly sort of story... what is wrong with me? Exactly what sort of story was this? Oh, a little one. Like I said. Nothing more, nothing less. Nothing in between. End quote. I might have suggested I laid on a particular story. I didn't threaten or cajole or nothing. Honest. So a suggestion was enough to get an interview. Mr. Misham must have really wanted to keep it under wraps.
Hold it!
A certain case 7 years ago. Tell us, what case? Let me state one thing, Mr. Attorney. You can quote me on this. I can't talk about that case. Why not? It's about journalistic pride and staunchness and credibility and connections. Journalist reveals sources only over his dead body, end quote. So what'll it be? Gonna strangle me? Dead man, don't tell tales, Mr. Attorney. Sounds pretty determined not to talk. Our chances of breaking his will aren't looking good. That red envelope probably has something to do with it. Oh, whoops. I mean to click.
Hold it!
On the one hand, we have our story on the other, and on the other, this letter. What makes you think the two are related? Oh, I was just saying it's possible. Call it reporter's intuition, end quote. Hey, I say a lot of things. You're going to pick all of them apart, be my guest. All of them? No, just the incredibly suspicious ones. I see. Anything else to say about Mr. Misham? I have a feeling this is the one. I need him to do it again. Oh! Ugh! Why do I have to look at that? Oh!
Gotcha!
Sweat much, Mr. Brushell? Yeah, well... The men can't help with sweat glands, you know? It's more than that. When Mr. Misham's talent was mentioned, you suddenly began to sweat buckets. They're hiding something about his talent. What? Ridiculous. Evidence time. Let's show Mr. Misham's true talents lay. It just so happens I have evidence showing the talent mentioned in that letter. It's this one, isn't it? It's either this one or the other one.
Take that!
I can't help but wonder what the court is supposed to conclude from this evidence. Oh, other than you made up a horrible mistake. Man burns bridge forgets to cross the first. End quote. Let's try again. All I have to do is reveal what Mr. Mishram really was. That shouldn't be so hard, right? It just so happens I have the evidence. Not this one, that was wrong. I meant this one. Yes, it's probably this one then.
Take that!
I couldn't remember which one it was. I didn't know if it was the one that was half finished or the one that was. This painting was found in Mr. Misham's studio. There are two problems with this painting. The first is it wasn't painted by Mr. Misham. The second is that there was another painting in the studio, which looked exactly like this one, except it was only half done. And then we have a letter discussing a payment of $100,000, or Japanifornia bucks, which suggests a certain business operation. The business of making forgeries. Don't freeze on that, it looks awful. That is all, Your Honor. Everyone, please, everyone. Can we keep this private, please? This is my story, my scoop. Forgery. That's a serious crime. Drew Misham is known as an artist these days. But there are rumors that he dabbed in another kind of art until a few years back. Another art, meaning forgery? Drew Misham was talented, alright? Talented at making precise, detailed fakes. The fact that certain criminal elements were quick to discover. Criminal elements? What? You can't seriously be talking about... Exactly. I'm talking about forging evidence. The rumors started circulating 7 years ago. 7 years ago? So, are we to understand that this letter, this payment of $100,000 was for... Exactly. Forged evidence nets tiny profit, end quote. Is it going to be tied to Phoenix's thing? Because he was, like, he had forged evidence. Order, order, order. Why is it like our victim was having a double life? Aha, this is my chance. So the victim had ties to the criminal world, right? He could have had plenty of enemies we know nothing about.
Objection!
This is my first time hearing anything of this criminal underworld. We certainly found no criminal connections when we conducted our investigation.
Objection!
But how do you explain all this money? You have to admit there's a possibility of some illegal activity here.
Objection!
But there's no proof trying this led to our case. Our case was and remains simple from the beginning. Only the defendant could have poisoned that mug from that night. And you, of course. Hey. The only thing I poison is my pen when I'm writing interviews or reviews. Same thing. Mr. Brushall, your testimony to this point has been quite unreliable, just like every other witness we have on the stand. You know, Gavin, I'm starting to question your credibility, seeing as you keep bringing witnesses that are completely useless. Get out of my court. It doesn't speak well for your reporting acumen. What are you talking about? My journalism is rock solid. Journalism so solid you could stand an elephant on it. End quote. I don't know what's wrong with my voice today, but oh man, these voices are tough. In any case, let's hear a summarized recap of your testimony. If we can ascertain the situation in that studio from the recap, the trial is over. Apollo, what's he talking about? The cross-examination showed Mr. Brussel didn't have any reason or means to poison him. As long as there's no other suspects, then the killer had to be Vera, that's what. This next testimony is our last chance. Mr. Brushall, your testimony, please. Interviewer recap. Only other person in the studio at night was the defendant. was Vera who poured the coffee. She admitted as much herself. The only thing that touched Drew's lips during the interview was that mug. And nothing left that studio after he died. Nothing. Clearly, the only one who could have poisoned him was his daughter. A nice testimony. Clear, succinct, without room for doubt. Ah, shucks. You really think so? I believe this clarifies the situation that night. Very well, Mr. Justice. You may be continuing your final cross-examination. Right. I still have one trump card left to play. And I won't let this trial end until I use it. Pulls out a gun. This is my trump card. Bang, 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 bang. Can't do a court case if there's no witness. Or judge.
Hold it!
But that doesn't prove Vera poisoned it.
Objection!
How many times do I have to learn that one, Hair Forehead? The poison reached its victim via that coffee mug. And from where did that coffee come from? Not to beat a dead horse again and again, but perhaps he could fill us in. I'm on it. You need a horse beat? I'm your man.
Hold it!
Did you witness her pouring the coffee? Of course I didn't witness it. When she came in with that tray, the coffee was already poured and steaming. Let's not forget that the defendant had submitted to coffee pouring himself. Blah, 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 blah. You know what I went trying to say. I heard a statement. I poured, I served, and I killed. What? That last part was just a little joke. I don't think I'm going to get anywhere with this coffee mug. I need to find another weak spot in this case. The only thing that touched Drew's lips during the interview was that mug.
Hold it!
You're sure about that? Well, to be really, really precise, I was busy gobbling mint candies the whole time. One of those candies might have been poisoned.
Objection!
So why aren't you dead? Yeah, at the time of the autopsy, no fresh fragrance of mints filled the room. And no mint residue was found. It was a long shot anyway. Don't tell me you're still trying to prove this. You think the victim ate, drank, or otherwise ingested something other than coffee? Well, Mr. Justice, if you have some proof, the possibility is there. I can feel it, just maybe not prove it. Not yet. The possibility isn't going to cut it, not now. Mr. Bishop ingested that poison via a route other than coffee. I can't prove that yet. Oh, wait, no, I can. Proof is possible. I gotta risk it. Oh, excellent. Let's see your proof then. Please show us your evidence. What evidence shows that the victim wasn't poisoned via his coffee mug? This thing.
Take that!
Nope. Must I explain this over and over? We don't need possibilities here, Hair Forehead. We need proof. I know that. You should also know that every proof has its moment. Perhaps you're a bit early. I can tell you that we know at this point the victim put nothing to his mouth but that coffee mug. Another hole in this case, and that needs plugging before I can prove anything. But first things first, I better uncover a weak spot before I try to strike again. At least I didn't lose any points. So I guess that means that it's correct, but I'm doing it too early. I mean, they just said that, but get the point. That's not happened before. Usually if I present something, even if it's right and it's the wrong time, I still get penalized. On with the cross-examination.
Hold it!
Not one thing, you're sure? Yep, sure as can be. Well, with one exception. One exception? What? Journalist sparks Brushel, does interview, leaves studio, end quote. Come on. It's a joke. Get it? Not funny, I know, but still. Excuse me. Did something leave the studio that night? Well, he just said that a letter went through a postbox, so yes. Why does that sound familiar? Where have I heard something like that before? Now that we have proven our witness is a comedian of sorts, I'd like to turn our defense attorney before returning to testimony. Do you have any idea what, if anything, might have left the studio that night? think one thing might have very well left the studio that night, actually. A certain something that has vanished from the crime scene. By which you mean... something other than our witness? Of course. Don't tell me. They're a mission? Believe me, any comic relief I may provide is entirely unintentional. Then let's see what you have got for us, Mr. Justice. Well, this thing wasn't at the scene of the crime, so I can't show it to you. But I do have evidence that shows how it could have been taken from the scene.
Take that!
This is the only link between the studio and the outside world. A little box. What did Mr. Brushel tell us? When he entered the studio on the night of the murder, the victim had just finished writing a letter. Yeah, I said that, and yeah, it was true. Furthermore, you went on to tell us that he put the letter in a yellow envelope and put it in the letterbox. Oh, but that very same letterbox was empty, in other words. Or, it was empty. In other words, that night the yellow envelope disappeared.
Objection!
Ah, yes, intriguing. So an envelope was disappeared from the scene of the crime. Of course, this changes nothing. Huh? He has a point, Mr. Justice. What we're trying to figure out here is how the poison got into Mission. You just asked me if there was anything that could have disappeared from the scene other than the guy. I said yes, I showed you evidence, and now you're saying, oh, well, it doesn't matter anyway. Then why ask me? Is it really important that this envelope the witness says he saw disappeared? Well, if it did disappear, then something did leave the studio that night. That seems very important to me. Very well then, the witness will add this to his testimony. You got it! I still think it fails to change anything here, Fullhead. Don't be so sure. A letter disappeared from the crime scene that night. This is exactly the opening I've been looking for. The letter was put to the post in the studio, and I hardly think it's that matters.
Hold it!
Nothing could be more serious than an envelope disappearing from that studio. And you were hiding that fact from us. Yes. Well, actually, I don't argue the possibility that as the letter disappeared from the studio. But, Herr Forehead, isn't there a bit more serious question before us? Right, how Mr. Mission was poisoned, I know. Mr. Brushel's testimony has changed, which means the facts of the case have too. And what he's told us means something entirely different now. I'm starting to think. Let's keep thinking, Apollo. I want to press on this because, you know, I just want to... You say clearly as though it was obvious. But this claim that the defendant poisoned the victim is merely conjecture. Yes, well, you see, in my business, it's all about making the most ridiculous things sound right. A bad habit, I know. Well, actually, I guess this is more of a case of ridiculous journalist sounds wrong, end quote. The court is forced to agree with you. Please refrain from wild conjecture. Understand it clear. If only I could believe that. What do you think, Apollo? Everything you're saying seems not flawed. Well, that kind of testimony you want from a testimony, really. I need to keep my eye on what matters. How and why was Drew Mission killed? If Vera poured the coffee, that's not going to change. But if that coffee didn't kill him, I need to find what did and prove it.
Hold it!
Now can I present it?
Objection!
Wait, did this change? Oh! Right, he licked the envelope. Of course. Proof is possible. Here goes nothing. And now I have to listen to this guitar again. Do you understand that we did, yeah? Proof, Herr Forehead. not possibilities. Of course, Prosecutor Gavin, I hope you understand that I'm going to save. I'm ready to give you that proof. Okay, the music has changed, which means this is the moment. What did you say? I have proof on the disappearing envelope. I saw him write a letter, I did. Which was picked up by the mailman, I assume. Of course, which means the envelope had a stamp on it. A stamp? As we all know, stamps come from with dried glue on the back. Actually, I don't know, because I've never used a stamp other than when I was like 10 years ago when I had to do stamps. And I didn't need to lick those. I just stuck them on. They're sticky. In order to use the glue, you have to wet it. Maybe in your stamps. By licking the stamp.
Objection!
No one worth talking to actually likes lick... No one worth talking to actually licks stamps in this day and age.
Objection!
Even if you wanted to talk to him, you couldn't. He's dead after all.
Objection!
Are you trying to come back with that? Okay, so he licked the stamp, but wait. How does that explain the acronym on the rim of the coffee mug?
Objection!
If you licked the back of a poisoned stamp, the poison would get on his tongue, yes? What would then happen if you put the coffee mug to his lip mouth? Those traces in the mug weren't the killer's doing. It was the other way around. What? The coffee mug didn't poison Mr. Misham. Mr. Misham poisoned the coffee mug himself. He kissed it. Ugh. Order. But that doesn't... Does it? Call if you would. Atroquinine is a slow-acting poison, yes? The poison entered his body when he put the stamp on that envelope. But his time wasn't up until the very moment he touched his lips to that cup of joe. You have something to add, Mr. Brushel? Uh-oh, his nose is picking up another scent. I believe I mentioned earlier. Yeah, well, that thing, see, if you put his letter in the envelope. Mr. Misham sat there searching his desk drawer for something. Yes, a stamp, a so-called postage stamp. End quote. But you know, I don't seem to remember him ever finding one. Maybe he just run out? I'm losing my voices. Incidentally, we searched the desk drawer at the scene of the crime. There were no stamps. Not a single one. That does pose a problem. How will you prove that the stamp was coated with poison? Actually, I'm glad no other stamps were found. It makes proving the stamp he used was poison possible. Good show, good show. You can't even prove there was a stamp at that scene in the first place. Well, let's hear what the defense has to say anyway. There's your evidence that proves the existence of this poison stamp. I like that they're just sort of going like, well, it's not like you can prove it, just show it so we can move on. It's like, dude, this guy's been doing multiple cases and each time he's managed to pull something out of his butt and you're just like, gonna completely dismiss him each time? Oh, no, not that. I wanted to present it, not look at it. Stop it!
Take that!
Well, that certainly is a cute little frame. And by little, I mean really little. It was on the victim's desk, Your Honor. Quite empty, as you can see for yourself. I noticed that too during my inspection, so what? Apparently you weren't as observant as you should have been. You see, when you saw this frame, it was missing something quite important. Missing something? Yes, a pale bluish stain on the inside of the frame. Atroquinine residue. What? Why wasn't I told about this? The frame is only 2 inches square. The face of the frame is even smaller. Maybe an inch wide at most. You aren't saying. Oh, but I am. Tell me, what fits in such a small frame? A commemorative stamp, perhaps? Why are you being so sassy? Order! Poison stamp was in this frame? Impossible! Prosecutor Gavin. Why would he put something like that on his desk? Don't tell me he had it in there so he could commit suicide in the mood struck. You know, I can't say so. Can I say something? I had the thought, see? What, Mr. Brushel? And please stop jittering around like that. The victim was a forger, right? There's a lot of money in that line of work. Forger forges friends, makes enemies too. End quote. So the poison stamp might have been a murder weapon aimed at him.
Objection!
Stop hitting that wall. Oh, Rich, that's Rich. Leave the ridiculous fights and fancies to the Gaviniers' song lyrics, please. Finally, something we can agree on. Stamp was a murder weapon? Nonsense. Murder is a simple business. Who would go to such lengths? No one. Oh, I disagree. Come again? I was like, come on, man. Be with me on this. Apollo, work with me. Call, if you would, the victim's reclusive lifestyle. Drew Misham hid from the world. He avoided meetings. His only contact with the outside world was the mail. The mail? Now, if you wanted to kill someone you couldn't meet, but you knew read letters, a stamp would be the perfect weapon. Ridiculous! Where's your proof? I want proof! Show us evidence that the poison stamp was sent to him as a murder weapon. I might not have evidence, per se, but things are finally starting to come together. 1 second. Oh, bless me. Sorry about that. What is it, Apollo? Your fists are trembling. I think I know what happened. I don't believe it, but I can see it. I think I know how Mr. Mission was killed. Well, fill us in, Mr. Justice. A certain piece of evidence points to the truth, Your Honor. I can show you how someone with the intent to kill sent Mr. Mission to stamp of death.
Take that!
Isn't this the envelope? The one sent from 7 years ago? Think about the text of the letter again. 100,000 in the designated account, blah, blah, blah. There were 2 pages of the envelope. The page 1 and this page 2. I want you to draw your attention to one phrase in particular. Send in the enclosed envelope with the enclosed stamp within 3 days. The enclosed stamp, Your Honor. In other words, if I have this straight, the stamp, poison, on the stamp, lick, lick, gasp. End quote. Now, what if he had done exactly as the letter asked? He would sign the document, put it in the envelope, and put the stamp on it, right? Then he would put it in his letterbox. 15 minutes wouldn't have elapsed. God, what is wrong with me today? 15 minutes wouldn't have elapsed between affixing the letter and mailing the letter. Affixing the stamp. Oh. But the clock started ticking, and when the time came, he drew his last breath, and the murder weapon would be taken away from the scene. Quite conveniently, thanks to the postal system. Thanks to the postman. Such a splendid imagination you have here, Forehead. Let me confirm one thing with you, if I might. So, this poisoned stamp was inside the letter envelope from the 7 years ago? Yeah? Is that what you have us believe, really? Well, it is a little bit of a stretch, but there's a possibility. Yes, a very small possibility. How small, I wonder? Oh, man. I think I just didn't get enough sleep or something, because I'm just messing up everything. Poison stamp in this envelope, a stamp that became the murder weapon. How do you intend to prove something this seeming coincidence? Well, it was 7 years ago, and we don't even know who sent that letter. And your answer is silence, I see. Very well, I move to. I don't know who this is. It's not nice to pick on the Fraulein Clavier. Oh, it's you! What? Why are you here? What? Emma! Well, like my Christoph Gavin impression, did I sound like him? Don't quit your day job. Okay, so it wasn't Gavin, or whatever. Don't you have a crime scene to be looking after, Fraulein Detective? Someone had to come dig you all out of your mess you're making of this case. Mess? You know, none of this would have happened if you just trusted in science a little more. You can find out if that stamp was in that envelope, easy. Care to explain yourself, Fraulein Detective? Glare at me all you want, but science is on my side. It's all in the residue, right? That's right! The poison detection spray. Produce the red envelope at once. You can open it on the court authority of the court. Well, blah, 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 blah. You can open it on the authority of the court. It was Gavin pretending to be Emma that was pretending to be Gavin to throw us all off. Yeah. Oh. I knew it. Well, would you look at that? No mistaking it. That's antiquinine residue. I don't believe it. A murder weapon from the past. Now 7 years later, it bears its fangs at last.
Objection!
Absolutely outrageous. Tell me why. Why did this murder take place 7 years ago? Well, there's one possibility. Maybe Mr. Misham figured it out. Figured what out? He realized that the person who sent that letter wanted him dead. So he sent his reply with a different stamp. And put his decisive evidence in a frame? You're still here? Can I make a statement here on the record? I, Spark Residue Brushel, claim this scoop as mine. Drew Misham killed in cold blood. By sender of 7-year-old letter, end quote. No, maybe something more succinct. Or succinct. I can't fucking... What is wrong with me? Star falls off 7 years delay, end quote. Order. I see no room for further argument here, though I admit this is all coming as quite a shock. To think that the murder weapon reached his mouth after 7 years. Stamp his ticket straight to afterlife, end quote. Uh-oh, I think the witness is having a bad influence on our judge. I see no need for further debate on this matter. The sender of that letter 7 years ago could hardly have been our defendant. Apollo, I think we just won. YouTuber has problem talking while playing a text-based game. Yes. I think it's just because I had messed up sleep or something last night, which has just messed me up physically. Because I feel slow. I can't talk words properly. There's your evidence for that, because I just said that. Someone give me adrenaline. I'll just go ah! Very well, this court will find the defendant. This is quick.
Objection!
It's the jurist system supposed to do it. You poor soul. Don't pity me. Is the bright future of our legal system? Or is this Prosecutor Gavin? A ticket to the afterlife from 7 years ago. Tickets for Gavineer's shows are invalid after 2 weeks. But it doesn't make sense any other way. It boggles my mind that so many people haven't noticed this. There's a fatal contradiction in Herr Forehead's claim. A contradiction? A poison stamp was placed in his envelope 7 years ago, whereupon it was framed until now. If that's the case, then why would Drew Mission have done what he did? Emma explained that. He must have realized it was poisoned. Therein lies the rub. 7 years ago, the forger Drew Misham sensed the trap and put the stamp in a frame. And do not debate this, but this begs the question. Why 7 years later did he use that stamp on the night of the murder? Surely you don't mean to suggest that Mr. Misham simply forgot? Put the murder weapon in a frame on his desk for 7 years and forgot? You expect us to believe he sprang up the trap on himself? Ooh, argh! While I admit this is quite shocking myself, it does seem slightly unlikely that he would fall afoul of a trap that had been sitting on his desk for 7 years. Apollo, I don't think we're winning anymore. I'm glad that we're all back in the real world now. Welcome back to reality. We've been waiting for you.
Objection!
Okay, then how do you explain the poison stamp that was in the envelope? Poison stamp? Where exactly is this poison stamp again? Will you brought it to court for us? I have no proof. I see no proof that such a thing ever existed. Envelope had proof of a stamp on it. Thing had a proof of stamp of it. Guy said the guy put a stamp on it. You want the actual stamp? Let's just go search the post office then, which is probably going to take forever.
Objection!
What about the acroquinine residue, huh? Oh, I agree. That does seem to be acroquinine residue. But hair forehead, it's certainly no stamp. Yeah, but even if your precious poison stamp did exist, Drew Misham never would have used it. That is all. Ugh. I believe we've come to conclusion again. Apollo, were we wrong the whole time? I can't believe it. The poison traces match up. It can't be a coincidence. I'd like to bring some closure to this issue sometime this year. Mr. Justice? Yes, Your Honor? Let's review the facts and see where we stand. 7 years ago, Drew Mission received a red envelope. There were traces of the poison atropine on the document inside of that envelope. A similar trace was also found inside the crime scene. Found at the crime scene. On this tiny picture frame. The defense has indicated the possibility of a yellow envelope. An envelope that left the scene of the crime with a poison stamp on it. Yes, but even if that envelope contained the poison stamp, and Drew Misham, knowing this, put it in the frame, he never would have used that stamp. I'm afraid you're right, which means that there is a fatal flaw in the defense's case. I've been on the wrong track this whole time, I'm sure of it. Or I haven't. Traces of acroquinine, the envelope, the frame, and Drew Misham's mysterious death. Maybe he was just blind or stupid. I don't know. They're all connected somehow. Well, Mr. Justice, do you have a conclusion for us? That sigh, bless you. Thank you. The defense stands by its case, Your Honor. We've seen that the logical outcome for the evidence makes no sense, which means that one of our clues must be fake. Ah, fake clue. Fascinating. Now, if you find the mistake, your wild fantasies prove quite reasonable, yeah? The fake clue that's thrown us this whole poison trail is none other than Drew Misham. The victim was a fake clue? I'm afraid I don't understand. I did that in the wrong voice. I'll explain. We have an envelope, a frame, and a mug linked by poison. That all makes sense. What doesn't make sense is the victim himself.
Objection!
Congratulations, you completely lost me. So the fake evidence is none other than the master of fake himself, the forger. That makes a good story. I'll give you that. The fake clue. Fakes. Forgeries. I know that face. That's the I just had an idea face. I don't know if I'm right, but I'm going with it anyway. What if our forger is the fake? Come again? 7 years ago, our forger sniffed a trap and stepped aside. 7 years passed. Now the forger stumbles into the very same trap and dies. Why? That's what I want to know. Because the forger who was killed was a fake. Here we are again. The victim was a fake. Because it wasn't Drew Misham. One forger smelled the trap, one forger fell into the trap. That's two forgers, and one of them was a fake. Yeah, this is fun, baby. Even if I can't do the thing today, the music will always bring back. Order, order. So you're telling us that Drew Misham, the victim, was a fake? Well, if he was a fake, who was the real forger? You better not be claiming there was another kind of switcheroo. I'm afraid you're going to have to back up your story. Mr. Justice, show us just who the real Drew Misham was. If Drew Mission wasn't the real forger, there's only one other person it could have been. Understood, Your Honor. Forger Drew Mission was himself a forgery. The real forger was...
Take that!
Attorney makes wild claim, becomes subject of ridicule, end quote. Better come up with something quick before that story goes to print. Was himself a forgery. It was not Phoenix Wright. You lied to me.
Take that!
There can only be one explanation, really. The real identity of the forger, known as Drew Misham, is none other than his only daughter, Vera Misham. Order, order! Mr. Justice, this is going on quite a limb, even for you. I kind of agree. I mean, Vera, a forger? Let's consider it before you write it off entirely. If you look at the paintings in the studio, one fact becomes quite clear. Forgery has been taking place in that studio for quite some time. The forger wasn't caught in the trap 7 years ago. This can only mean that the one who was caught in the trap wasn't the forger. Well, actually, that does make a certain kind of sense. One more thing. Only 2 sets of fingerprints are found in the forger's studio. Drew Misham's and Vera Misham's. If we know that Drew Misham wasn't the forger, that leaves only one possibility, by process of elimination. The forger was Vera Misham. Well? Fascinating. Kiss me. Kiss me, Apollo. You've done right. It just like in the middle of court. It just makes out like, you know what I've done? I'm done pretending. I love you, Apollo. Oh. Vera Misham. You've been paying attention to the trial so far? Let's just ask her and be done with it, shall we? Who are you? Who is the forger, Drew Misham? There's a dumbfounded look. Was that an expression of emotion I saw on her face? We have enough of Yaoi fan art of that. It would be like that, the Mario and Sonic makeout picture, but with but with Apollo and Gavin. She's staring whole into prosecutor's Gavin's face. I'm used to being stared at Fraulein's, believe me. Though they usually talk to me too. Tell us, are you the one who forged these works of art? Yes. She even signed it that time. So the forger Drew Misham was you? Yes, it was me. What is that face supposed to be? I guess one eye is supposed to be crying? What? I keep thinking she's not wearing shoes, but she is. It's just that she's wearing flats, so it kind of matches her socks. So she looks like she's just walking around in socks. The court was in an uproar and it wasn't coming down. We had to break for a 10-minute recess. Vera would definitely be that type of artist. Yeah. Yeah, we still got half an hour. We can keep going. Yes. October 8th, 1:24 p.m. Number 6. Okay. So where exactly does that leave us, Apollo? Well, the Drew Misham who was killed wasn't Drew Misham the forger, basically. Huh? Well, then who was he? Well, he was actually doing her nails. So you really made those forgeries? Yes, poor father. I know it was wrong. Can you tell us how it happened? I mean, Yuri's, well, yeah. My father was a painter. I loved painting ever since I was a child. One day, father saw it in me. He saw that I had the talent. The talent for making forgeries? How should I say it? It was not only paintings I made. Given the materials, I could make anything. Anything? Father was so proud and I so happy. But in the end, I was making those forgeries. I've never had a good constitution or personality. I know very little of the world outside of my door. Now, because of me, father is... Do you know about this red envelope? I remember that envelope. It was some time ago. You were already creating your works back then? I started when I was only 12 years old. So the one who figured out the stamp was poisoned, that was... Mr. Justice, it's time. To the courtroom, please. She'll be drawing whatever people want her to. Or pay her, yeah. I'm sure that face you mentioned is more behind it in the Japanese version. Probably. Right. Out of time. Wait, Vera, just one more thing, please. Those 3 paintings in the studio. I painted those as part of my work. Right, see, we checked them out and we saw what was underneath. We saw the rough sketches underneath the 3 finished paintings. I see. Mr. Justice. Yes? Father, he knew of you. Of both of you. Your late father? He was watching, gathering information. All about the Wright & Co. law offices. But lately, we're not doing it. We're not doing just law. Yes, you do tricks, gags to amuse, and play piano. Well, they're not really gags. Yet, when Father heard you had resumed the legal business, how pleased he was. Who was Mr. Misham? How am I supposed to know? What if he was Daddy's daddy? No. No. It's not. That wouldn't make any sense. Judging from the relative ages involved, I say it's highly unlikely. Things are already confusing enough with these daddies running around. It keeps bringing this up, so this is going to be important somehow. Let me guess, this is poisoned too. Wait, I need to read that again. Things are already confusing with enough with all these daddies running around. You know that the victim's daughter, Vera, was a forger. What does that mean for the case? We're about to find out. 1:36 p.m. District Court, no room, blah, 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 blah. Court is now back in session. I remember nothing. Yeah, like I said, the only case that I almost fully remembered was the stage quest. The Gavin case, you know. That's the only one I actually remembered anything about. Harris seems pretty tense. He's practically chewing her fingernails clean off. Yeah, I think she's probably going to be poisoned now. That's just my guess. Perhaps you could begin by telling us how it all worked. How did you set up this Drew Mission Forger persona? There's that stare again. She's drilling more holes into his head. I know it's hard for you, but hey, he's a handsome guy. What's hard? Why do you have to say that? Very well, miss, if you would. Did you really make those detestable forgeries? Perhaps you'd rather answer my question. Were you the one who painted the painting? That remarkably cinema one? Yes. I painted it, yes. Father praised me quite highly for it. So, she was the one who made the forgeries. Yet she did not wish to reveal the truth of the operation. So the victim was stand-in, a decoy. To the world at large, he was the forger, not her. I've done a bad thing. I have, haven't I? Regardless, we need a little more information. About, for instance, this. You've seen this before, yeah? Yes. It was in the desk drawer. Very well, you may proceed with your testimony. Tell us everything you know about this envelope. You know, Mira's one of those people that's just like, you just want to protect her. It's like, shut up, Gavin, leave her alone. There, it's okay. I created things and Father sold them. This envelope came after my first work. That was other than a painting. Father handed the deal, all of it. I received the stamp that was in the envelope. That's a really good drawing with just crayon, considering that she seems to be drawing with a pen or pencil. It was after that job that we moved to the current studio. There certainly was much of great interest in your testimony. Not that the witness realizes it. Very well, please begin the cross-examination. Right, okay. I need more information about this forger. This Drew Misham. Who is Drew Misham? Everyone asks who is he, but no one asks how is he. He's dead.
Hold it!
So these things you were making, you mean paintings identical to the other paintings, right? The closer they were, the happier Father was. I was happy too. Still, you're quite young now. When did you begin this work? My first painting sold when I was 12. Your Honor, she had no idea what she was doing was illegal.
Objection!
Easy there, little attorney. You're not here to defend her for the crime of forgery. True. Please tell us more about this envelope. This envelope that may have well killed your own father. All right.
Hold it!
By other than a painting, you mean you'd only done paintings up to that point? Yes. But Father had a realization. He had noticed my talent extended to making things other than the paintings. For instance, a letter someone had written, or a fingerprint left upon a cup, or a signature on a document, a seal upon a letter. None of this makes her sound very innocent at all. And the 100,000 promised in this letter was the start. The beginning of a new industry for Drew Mission. A new industry. The creation of atoms to be used in criminal proceedings. Forging evidence, in other words. Uh-oh. Shame we don't see her much after this. I mean, I guess, yeah, because she's really just tied to this one quest, so...
Hold it!
So, you didn't know the things you were making were being used? I enjoy painting very much. I think I understand. The Fraulein has lived in an unusual little world. Can you tell us about what happened with the papers that were in this envelope? Father signed them and sent them back, I believe. Did he follow the instructions? Send in the enclosed envelope with the enclosed stamp? This is a rather important matter. Give your answer some thought.
Hold it!
What do you mean you received it? Did I do something wrong? You didn't use that stamp because it was dangerous, correct? Deadly poison on the back. Atropine.
Objection!
A moment here, forehead. You can't force an answer upon the witness. Says you, the guy who's forcing answer on other witnesses. Shut the fuck up. Shut up, Clavier. Now then, perhaps you would tell me, Fraulein Vera. Why did you receive this stamp? Something wrong? It was beautiful. Ah, you mean it was one of those commemorative stamps? Yes, I think it was. I think it was. So you didn't know about the poison? I guess not. So the trap failed by chance, by mistake. Thanks to this commemorative stamp. Quite the close call.
Hold it!
You mean move to where the current Drew studio is? Yes, we saw very few people there. I began drawing picture books. A single job had tied them to the criminal underworld. I think Mr. Mission wished to reduce their visibility in the world at large. When we had time to meet someone, for some reason, Father posed as the creator of the work. So that was the real essence of the artist, Drew Mission. You did the work and he supplied the face. So, you really didn't know anything, did you? You had no idea how much danger you were in. Apparently not. About this commemorative stamp, could you tell us more about it? It was very pretty, and more than that. Yes? It was a picture of people I liked at the time. This is something new. Apparently, we've got some cross-examination yet ahead of us. If you would be so kind to continue testimony, Fraulein. Favorite magician, so I kept it.
Hold it!
Magicians? I love mysterious things. I always have. Even though she fainted when she saw Mr. Hat. You're confusing mysterious with freaky. Father took me when I was very young. It was a great magic show. I loved it so much. See? Isn't magic great? Fine, great, yeah, sure. No need to get all excited. But the magic troupe we saw disbanded soon after. I was quite sad. Did she just say what I think she said? Magic troupe? Where have I heard that before? The red envelope came after she completed her first job. That makes it a letter from her client, whoever wanted a forgery made. Apollo? We're close. We just have to piece together the parts. A deadly weapon in a red envelope. And the path it took to take Drew Misham's life. Oh my god, I have to watch a drawer each time? Now, I don't know if I need to present something specific, because this would make sense, because this would be where she put it. I can either show this to show this is where she put the envelope, but that's not really an objection. Or I can show this, because this is, you know, they're talking about troop. This is the one that's talking about troops. So I will go this.
Objection!
No, it's wrong. This evidence clearly reveals a contradiction in that statement, Your Honor. How are they related? They aren't, are they? Not at all. Mr. Justice, please think things over. I don't think I won any points. If in doubt. I am always in doubt. I have already pressed.
Objection!
Oh, I was right. It was that then. Like I said, it was either the stamp or the ticket. Those magicians you liked, was it this bunch? And this is also a problem here because it's like, we're shouting objection, but this isn't a rejection. This is, here's the evidence that you're talking about. Apollo, they're not a bunch. I see. Still I have to wonder. Why include a commemorative stamp like that in a business letter? Good question. More pretty stamps are always better, and you can't beat troop grammar, eh? But the whole murder plan was a failure because of it. Ironic, don't you think? Prosecutor Gavin? Why is he sweating? Prosecutor Gavin? Crambry. What's with Gavin? Might I just ask a question of this witness? In your testimony just now, you stated this was your first work that was other than a painting. Please tell me, what exactly did you make? Can I ask what? No! Answer the question. Now! Eat! Prosecutor Gavin, you're usually not the one of those whose volume concerns me. Yes, it is unbecoming of me, I apologize. But I must know. Please, Miss Misham, tell me. Might want a guide soon? I don't need no guide. It was a book. I'll wing it! In a single page, in a book. A book. Please be more specific. It was a handwritten book. Like a diary. No! I don't know! She's like, what the hell's his problem? What's wrong with Miss Prosecutor Gavin? Looks like he just saw a ghost. Miss Misham, this book. Was there a picture of a silk hat on the back cover? Yes or no? How did you know?
Objection!
Prosecutor Gavin, the defendant is answering all of your questions. Stop badgering her. He's told you nothing, has he? Your soiled, sullied mentor, nothing? Sullied who? Phoenix right. Who else? Daddy? He never told you about the trial 7 years ago? About how you came to lose his attorney's badge? It was a certain piece of evidence that decided his fate, you know. A certain diary. On the back it bore the mark of a silk hat. What? Well, okay then. Phoenix Wright tossed out the profession by false evidence. And the forger who made that evidence. Is this girl standing right in front of me? Vera, you must tell us. Tell us about this forgery, about a different case that has nothing to do with this case. At least for now. The evidence you made was used in a trial 7 years ago. Who asked Drew Misham? You to forge that evidence? For all our sakes, who was it? We only met once. You met the client? I don't know after my voice there. Well, who was it? It was... What's going on with Vera? She's staring at Prosecutor Gavin's face again. Yes, what? Is there something about me? I remember clearly. I remember who gave me the book, the diary. Who was it? Choke. Vera. The devil. Defendant Mirror Misham, condition unconscious. Everyone else vanishes from consciousness because they were part of her imagination. Acute atrocanine poisoning. Oh, so I was right. She got poisoned because of the nail polish or whatever it was. This ends the recording of the trial for the murder of Drew Misham. Vera Misham was, during the trial, poisoned by an unknown assailant. The dosage was just under the lethal amount, sparing the defendant's life. She's currently in the intensive care and is not to be disturbed for any reason. A very simple case at first glance, until it finally begins to show its true colors. The long road to the truth takes us to the record of another trial. Or Hey Phoenix! It's the classic song! In some ways, that was the starting point of it all. Look at young Gavin! What the fuck? He looks cooler! And that is where we must go. Look at little baby Trucy! To find the whole truth. Oh, man. I'm surprised that Vera was able to stay alive, though, because she still absorbed atrocanine poisoning. She must be made of tougher stuff compared to her father. He died. 7 years ago, trial. 7 years ago. Some of these titles are just so weird. It just goes 7 years ago, 7 years ago. Completely going back to the Trilogy assets. Oh, man. Oh, man. Imagine if in the remake or in this remaster we get to that point and it actually is like the 3D models. Would you be pissed? You're right. Again, my apologies. I thought you were talking about the Masons. Okay. And I was right. Yeah, I was right. Let me check. See how long we've been going for. Almost 2 hours. Good stopping point. I guess it could be. Yeah, I guess there's probably a good place to stop. So we shall stop there for today. Plus, it will get me so then I can start getting my voice rested or whatever for next time. Uses the Trilogy sprites. Man, you're spoiling it. It's okay though. But we shall see what happens next time. I am looking forward to seeing where this goes because I have completely forgotten everything about this case. So, woo! It's good that I figured out the whole thing about the nail polish, though. The way that this is going out, what it's probably going to be ending up doing is that the person, because I vaguely recall, like in one of the other episodes. No, wait, no, that didn't happen. I don't recall it. Then I'm probably just making things up in my brain. But purely because Gavin, or no, not Gavin, Christoph showed up. I'm assuming that he's probably going to be in this case at some point because there was no reason for him to show up other than having to be a big character in this. So he's probably going to be like the guy who made the forgery and he also poisoned Vera or something. But I guess we'll find out. But yeah, other than that, we shall stop there for today. We shall pick this up on Thursday, where we will continue with this and see what happens in the past, 7 years ago, when we're back with young Phoenix. I don't know. Like I like all versions of Phoenix, but you know, the one with the beanie is his best one. So if we go back to the other one, I'm going to be like, oh, it's not the good one. Oh, we'll see. Anyway, that's the end for today. Tomorrow we're back with, we're starting a new game because I finished God of War. I'm going to be starting Halo, so look forward to that. But other than that, thanks for joining today. I hope everyone enjoyed. Sorry if my voice acting was not that great today. Yeah, I don't know what was going on. I think it's just because I'm tired. It's just putting me down for my voices and stuff. But hopefully next time I'll be a lot better. But yeah, until then, thanks for joining me today. Hope everyone enjoyed. As usual, like, follow, subscribe, do that bell notification so we know when our next stream. And if you like what I do, don't forget to, if you want to help support me, there's also Patreon links and tip links. If you do become a patron, get your name added to the list where I give you a shout out at the end of the stream, like I do here with Hiroru Kuni. And I thank you for the continued support, and I greatly appreciate you. This list is out of date. I actually need to update this because I have a new patron added on. So, woo, thank you. I'll have to update it, so probably next time I'll probably get it ready. But until then, that's it for today. Thank you all for joining. And y'all take care. Have a nice rest of the day, and I'll see you all tomorrow, hopefully. So, bye, everyone. Bye, Sean. Bye, Rafatron. Thanks for joining. See you next time. Yeah, bye.